Bonjour, Danse Wache, honey. Good evening. Um, I did a little bit more packing today, and I got some things ready. And I went and seen the director at the Healing and Defensive Center, and he had some really valid questions. We had a meal there, soup and bannock. It was really good, potato bacon. And since this journey out here, I've seen a lot of homelessness, and we were in the office with the director, and he talked um, about he asked questions about what I would be asking for, like for funding. He said because not everybody's going to trust the fact that I'm walking and asking for money, and I get that. It's fair. It was a fair question, so. I have one of my little friends. She's gonna make a page, and we collaborated and elaborated on what was needed on the flyer. And I didn't realize it was going to become, this overwhelming so quickly, but that's just the way it happens. And when we have these functions or groups or wanting to get up, there's always going to be um, some trials and errors. That's how we learn, right? It's always about trial and error and getting things done and putting them in the right place. And but what really caught my eye was um, a woman that came in, and a lot of people are transient and they're like homeless, and she was homeless. She's been homeless for 2 years on the streets of Edmonton, and you can see in her face um, and it's been pretty cold here, you know. We've had some pretty cold weather the last week, and like -18 weather. It just breaks my heart to know that, our Anishinaabe women are homeless in the inner cities. And you could tell by her face, it was like wind burned, you know, and it just resonated something in me as to why I'm doing what I'm doing. And walking is so appropriate because of the fact that we've done that for a long, long time before there was ever horses. And I know it's like not, people say, oh yeah, well you can't go backwards. That's not the whole plight of this. The whole plight of this is to honor that sema and honor the cloth and honor the tree of life, and to walk for our people is an honor and a blessing. And and I don't like politics. I get very upset because there is no, to be honest, there is no real gravy train in that. Some people might think that it is, but to be honest, if you're a part of the lead, it changes you. It changes your perspective, and to really want to help. And maybe I'm a bottom feeder. Maybe I'm meant to see all of this for a reason. And I ask Creator to really honor my prayers. And He's the one that told me that if you say your name, my girl, I will hear you. And I truly believe that. And when I seen that young woman, she had to be maybe 30, in her early 30s, and she was quite humble. And just to see the effects of what residential school did to our people and for our people. And that's why I'm very resistant towards the education process. Not that I knock it. It's just that I think we learn to live in a society and to accommodate materialism and to keep the capitalists happy, that we're constantly buying and spending, and and it's quite sad when you see on the front lines of homelessness and poverty, and how it could really hurt a soul. And it's quite, it resonated inside of me. Something happened, and I came home and I was reading about this article on the Prime Minister, and Truth and Reconciliation. And I really feel that their interests are with foreign diplomacy, and with the immigrants, and and everything is based on oil, and that's why I say when I went to school, it was more of a truth. So really, going to school just told me the truth about the lies, right? And it told me the truth of how the foundations of society was created. And before we had the pre-Confederate treaties, before the actual treaties were here, the actual pre-Confederate treaties, there was based on word of mouth. It was based on honor, and we honored our word, and our word was our honor. And we have a program out here in Edmonton, and it's called Kinship. And what that is through the caregivers of Alberta, and when children are placed in a foster care system, that they find family members to accommodate before that child is placed for adoption or PGO'd. And in this system, it's a really a good one, because they were really good to Alex and I, and the process was really difficult to go through. And I really believe that child welfare. We don't have a choice to where that child's placed, or if that child gets moved from home to home. We don't have their say whether you are a parent or a guardian of that child. And that just goes to show that the annihilation of policy and legislation, they don't adhere to First Nations people. It's not designed to accommodate us. It's designed to enforce the rules. And we know what it's like to be enforced by rules. Residential school, that's why we're all in this sort of displacement, and the poverty, and the extremities of addictions and diabetes, and our elders are being not taken care of properly, the youth suicide, and there's so many in the water, and there's so many reasons why we have those setbacks, because we never dealt with legislation and policy. We had our own socioeconomic ways of survival, and we depended on each other, right? We depended, like, even in a clan system theory. If I have an auntie that's my grandmother Josephine, she's Catfish Clan, and I am Ganoshi, I'm Pike Clan. So she would be my leader. She would be my grandmother. I would go to her for advice or for something. Same as Bear Clans, same as Wolf Clan, or any clan systems. We had our own way of educating, policing, intergovernance. We had all of that. We still do. And people don't believe that it's a live government. It's been here long before the times of immemorial. We lived with the land. We lived with Mother Earth, and we lived humbly with that. And we've adopted the voting system, and women didn't get to vote until the 1960s, late 1960s, and so this is really kind of new still, and to be part of an elite, it's really not who we are, and we've socialized ourselves, and we do that to each other. We've socialized each other, and that's what the abuse does. The abuse just builds more walls, and it creates more abuse. And I think that's why I want to go for this walk, because I want to unify our families. I want to unite our families in a good way, and to go from the inside out rather from the outside in, because we have ways that we can help each other. And I pray for the leadership, because they have a big job. Like, that's pretty big shoes, and considering the cabinet and the government of Canada, and how many people they have in one ministry, and how many people work underneath them. So I'm helping, doing the groundwork for the leadership, because I want to ask questions. I want to ask our families, the communities that we're invited in. I want to ask what we can do to move forward. What is it that we can do to bring back to the leaders to help each other? And creating a forum, an open forum, but also create a a template, I guess, or some sort of foundation. Um, I did a lot of research in school. I did many of the ethnography and did my homework, and my specialty is in research. So this is part of a research, I think, on a bigger scale, um, and to be part of the solution, right? I think it's so important to move forward, to move camp, and this is called moving camp. There's so many great ideas. There's so many young people that have so many wonderful ideas, and being able to come together and collaborate with those ideas. And family takes care of family, and that's not an old, that's not a new tradition. That's old, and we've always taken care of each other in a kind way. And the women are the foundation of our nation. We're the backbones, and I respect the good women in my life and on my path. And I want to build our women up, empower each other to keep going, to keep strong, and to keep fire within, and to be proud, to be proud to be an Anishinaabe. It's just when I get in these politics, I just get so upset because I know the truth. I've seen it right from when I went to university. I used to go home from class and I would just cry and cry, and it was like that for a long time. And then when I came out to the University of Alberta, it was just the same thing, regurgitating it over and over, and having these laws constantly enforced upon us. And it's like, not my problem, not after 5, not my problem policy, right? And I want to create a different, reality for our people. We deserve that, and we deserve to be held up, and that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for our people. I love my people. But anyways, y'all, I hope you all have a wonderful night, and Bamapi, and we'll see you again. Bamapi Manwa.